Welcome to Engage Your Tribe, a podcast about the art and science of audience engagement. I'm Jeremy Shear, and my guest is Chris Shuptine. VP of Marketing at Kevel. Chris, it's great to have you on the show.
It's great to be on the show.
So before we get into our discussion, real quick, Engage Your Tribe is brought to you by Tribal Knowledge Podcasting. We are a full-service B2B podcasting agency, and we help brands use podcasting as a fun and efficient way to have authentic conversations with the buyers and decision makers you need to get to know to grow your business. You can learn more at tribknowledge.com. Okay, Chris, so back to you. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background in marketing, and about Kevel.
Yeah, definitely. So I have been in the advertising tech space for about 15 years now. And I started in customer success for a search engine marketing firm in Virginia, where I grew up. I then moved to Boston, where I worked for a mobile marketing firm. It was a startup that grew from 15 employees to about 400 when I was there. And at that company, I transitioned from CS to product marketing and really enjoyed that role. I was doing product marketing there for probably about 3 or 4 years. And then I moved back down south to Durham, North Carolina, and I took a role as the VP of marketing at a small ad tech startup called AdZerk. At the time, it was about 15 employees, and I was the only marketer on the team. We later rebranded to Kevel, so at the same company, and we are now about 80 to 90 employees. We've raised 2 rounds, A and a B, in the last year and a half, and really, there's been obviously a lot of growth during that time. And as a quick background about Kevel, so we provide tools that make it easy for any company to launch highly profitable ad businesses. And now, what do I mean by ad business? Mm-hmm. Great question. So think of Facebook's sponsored posts within their newsfeed as you're going down, or Amazon sponsored products as you're doing a search for basically anything, and it's now like 5 of the 10 results. Mm-hmm. You have Google sponsored search results, Twitter's promoted tweets, et cetera, et cetera. These are often called native ad platforms or native ad units, and they're all custom ad platforms that they built themselves. Now, why doesn't everyone have this type of ad platform? Amazon made 31 billion in ads in 2021. Now, obviously, they have the scale to help enable that, but 31 billion is a lot. Mm-hmm. Even a fraction of that is a lot. And the reason that most companies don't do this is it's really expensive. It takes years to put something out, at least something that's interesting to advertisers. It can take many, many engineers to be able to get there. And that's where Kevel comes in. And we provide tools that make it easy for any business to build what the behemoths have built in a fraction of the time and cost it took them. And we do that because we're an API-based solution that companies hook into to get access to all the building blocks they need to launch those custom, native, user-friendly ad units. And we work with customers like Yelp, Ticketmaster, Klarna, Bed Bath & Beyond, and a whole host of others who are or have launched very successful ad businesses on top of us.
Okay, really cool. What a great idea for a company. Just really filling like a massive niche, it sounds like. So now you guys have at least 2 distinct audiences. Yeah. On the one hand, business operations and development people. And on the other hand, product and engineering teams. So what's some of the main challenges in marketing and creating messaging for both of those and keeping everything consistent?
Yeah. So the main challenge is that their pain points are different, even if the usage of the product or the end goal is the same. Yeah. And by that I mean, when companies are starting ad businesses, starting ad programs, it's really a business problem. They want additional revenue, incremental revenue streams, and capital to help them grow or offset lower margins elsewhere. Nobody shows ads for the sake of showing ads or for the user's sake, right? And our messaging to that audience is that our tools make it easy to build that ad business and drive that incremental revenue. We are effectively a revenue driving tool for them. So our job at a high level is to convince them of that story and that they should be launching an ad business. Now, what happens when a company has decided they do want to launch an ad business? Well, it's often given to a product manager, some head of ads to say, hey, we want to do this. And usually that team going to be more technical, and they're going to do the research and say, well, this is actually going to be very expensive. I'm slotting 10 engineers. It could take us a year and a half. And in research, they stumble upon us. And our message to there on the website is build your own ad server in just weeks. So they look at us and they say, wow, that's solving the pain point. We don't want to do it in years. We want to do it in weeks. And for them, we effectively become a cost savings tool. So we're, saying rather than a year and a half of paying engineers, you can do it with a lot fewer engineers, and you could do it in a couple of weeks. And that message is fundamentally different than the message we're giving the business side, even though at the end of the day it's launching ads, it's monetizing with ads. And I think the biggest challenge for us with this dueling audience is what we put on the website. And, which side do we appeal to with that above the fold banner tagline right there? Because we don't necessarily know who exactly is visiting our site at that moment. Is it the business side? Is it the technical side? Where it's less of a challenge or an issue is outbounding or doing demos once they've reached out and said they'd like to learn more. Because at that point, the sales team knows who we're talking to. They know the title of the person and can tailor the pitch. But really, it's that inbound traffic of how do you appeal to both audiences with one tagline?
Okay. And so how do you solve that problem, right? You have only so much real estate on your website above the fold, as you said. So what's your strategy there?
Yeah, right now we've really focused on more of that technical side with that messaging. And a key part of that is just looking at that buying cycle. And if you look at that timeline I outlined, it's like the exact said that they want an ad platform and they hand it off to a PM, and the PM says, oh, I really want to build this. I want tools to get there faster. So as we're looking at that buying process, the group that is going to be most down funnel and most likely to buy is going to be that technical side. They know what they want. They probably have a spec created and they're just looking for that core infrastructure. So we're really trying to appealing to those right now to capture that down funnel market. Meanwhile, we have a lot of thought leadership content on our website as well that we're trying to find more ways to direct business side to that tells more of that story at a high level and create a choose your own adventure on the site depending on your role. But at the end of the day, because they're more down funnel, because they're more targeted, we do appeal right now with the technical messaging.
Okay, makes sense. Now, your sales cycles are fairly long, right? I think when we talked before, you said it around 4 to 6 months, maybe longer sometimes. So what role does marketing play in helping keep the momentum going, especially given that you're juggling two audiences and trying to keep at least two groups of people kind of marching forward?
Yeah. So we see deals stall for a multiple number of reasons, and it's either the business or technical side, really, and those are stalling for different reasons. So from a business side, maybe they've said we're going to hold off on new initiatives, or they're trying to hire sales or ad operation team members and having trouble doing it. The other side is the business really want to get going, but the technical side says, oh, we don't have the resources right now to integrate, or we're having trouble integrating. So it really boils down to the two sides. And I would say what we do as a company at Kevel is we have a really amazing sales team that follows up from the business side for sure. And then we have a very great solutions architect team that is following up from the technical side and making sure integrations are going smoothly. And where I see marketing fit into this is we work closely with sales to create content to help overcome any objections that customers have, specifically more so from the business side. We're going to be the market team is going to be a little less effective in like, how do you integrate our JavaScript code with this endpoint? We're going to be more helpful in a situation that has a little bit more reflection on the business side. An example of that, we recently published an article called Amazon is the Enemy, but AWS shouldn't be. And the purpose of this article was to address any objections that retailers have that Kevel's platform is built on AWS's cloud infrastructure. And, retailers are naturally going to be a little bit wary about Amazon and AWS being a subsidiary of it. And, this article was focused on, we understand your concerns. This is why you should perhaps think of it differently. And this was a piece that it's not going to be SEO based. I don't think we're going to find much inbound search traffic from it. It's not really something that appeals to our newsletter followers or our social followers. So the distribution of this is really sales. This is in your arsenal to help move people along. And the feedback in this particular case has been it's helpful in telling that story. So I think where marketing helps here is working with sales on content that can be shared to overcome objections to move these customers along.
Yeah, makes sense. And it sounds like the key there is working with sales.
Yeah, I mean, we are an enterprise sales company. To work with us, you have to fill out a form. You get a demo from a salesperson. It goes through that process. So, obviously, this advice will be less helpful if you have a self-sign up and it's marketing driven or a product driven, or you're, D2C and you don't have a sales team. But in this space, in enterprise software, the marketing team and the sales team have to be working and have to be aligned.
Yeah, 100%. So, okay. Couple quick questions here. What's been your main focus so far in Q1?
So for us, it's been top of funnel leads and starting to test gated content. So like I mentioned, we have people coming to us, filling out the form, getting a demo. We don't at this point have much gated content or even like very, very much top of the funnel lead generation. We rely on people who say, I want a demo. And our focus of ours in Q1 is really figuring out how we can incorporate gated strategies so that we can collect just an email and then figure out how we can nurture and send thought leadership materials to this person over time. And that's going to be a big focus of ours is to understand those top of funnel leads and how we can turn them into people who want demos.
Okay. Next question. What are the top 3 KPIs that your boss pays most attention to?
Yeah. I would say from a marketing side, it's going to be website visitors. Is that growing? What is that demand looking like? Then those inbound form fill out leads and how many people are coming to our site and wanting to get a demo. And then finally, the conversion rate between those inbound leads and which ones become sales qualified leads. Like we assign a value to it. We think an opportunity is there. And obviously that metric is important because we don't want marketing to just be driving really terrible leads and we're like, oh, we've doubled and none of them have any value. So it's important to have that check metric.
Absolutely. And finally, what do you and your team hope to accomplish throughout this year?
Yeah, I think this really goes along with the Q1 goals. We have a decent number of website visitors at this point, and not all of them are converting. And this is something every website has, a lot more visitors than people who contact. But we want to try to find those strategies for increasing that conversion rate. Gated content, certainly one option. A/B testing of website messaging, such as testing out more of the business side messaging and seeing maybe that actually is more effective than the technical side. And then also providing better navigational experiences, finding ways to highlight our content in ways that would make us thought leaders, make it easy to access rather than visiting our page, not being able to identify any resources that would be helpful, and then abandoning the page.
Okay, excellent. Well, Chris, there's so much more we could discuss, I'm sure, but
Yes.
I've taken too much of your valuable time already. So thank you so much for your time and for a really stimulating discussion. Really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you, Jeremy.